Devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraet Nashtaprayeshu Avadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttama Sloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 10, entitled The Battle Between the Demigods and Vritrasura, text 12 through 22. Text 12. Dadichi Muni controlled his senses, life force, mind, and intelligence and became absorbed in the trance. Thus he cut all his material bonds. He could not perceive how his material body became separated from his self. Text 13 to 14. Thereafter King Indra very firmly took up the thunderbolt manufactured by Vishwakarma from the bones of Dadichi. Charged with exalted power of Dadichi Muni and enlightened by the power of Supreme Personality of Godhead, Indra rode on the back of his carrier Airavata, surrounded by all the demigods, while all the great sages offered him praise. Thus he shone very beautifully, pleasing the three worlds as he rode off to kill Vritasura. Text 15. My dear King Parikshit, as Rudra, being very angry at Antaka, Yamaraj had formerly run toward Antaka to kill him. Indra angrily and with great force attacked Vritasura, who was surrounded by the leaders of the demoniac armies. Text 16. Thereafter, at the end of Satya Yuga and the beginning of Treta Yuga, a fierce battle took place between the demigods and the demons on the bank of the Narmada. Text 17 to 18. O king, when all the asuras came onto the battlefield, headed by Vritasura, they saw King Indra carrying the thunderbolt and surrounded by the Rudras, Vasus, Adityas, Aswini Kumaras, Pitas, Vahinis, Marutas, Rusas, Sadyas, and Visadevas. Surrounded by his company, Indra shone so brightly that his effulgence was intolerable to the demons. Text 19 through 22. Many hundreds and thousands of demons, demi-demons, yakshas, rakshasas, and others headed by Sumali and Mali resisted the armies of King Indra, which even death personified cannot easily overcome. Among the demons were Namuchi, Sambara, Anarva, Dvaivurda, Rasava, Asuras, Hayagriva, Sankursira, Viprasiti, Ayomukha, Puloma, Vrisha Parva, Praheti, Heti, and Utkala. Roaring tumultuously and furiously like lions, these invincible demons, all dressed in golden ornaments, gave pain to the demigods with the weapons like clubs, bludgeons, arrows, barbed darts, mallets, and lances. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Achyut Prabhuji. Thank you so much. Krishna Prabhu, when you're ready, you can start, Prabhuji.
Okay, Prabhu. Thank you very much, Prabhu. Am I audible, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu, it's clear, Prabhuji.
No. Hare Krishna. Thank you all for joining for today's Srimad Bhagavatam section. Today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 6th Canto, 10th chapter, the battle between the demigods and Vritrasura. So thank you, Achyut Kafle Prabhu, for reading today's Bhagavatam section translations. So we'll start with the prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshnaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamiti Namane. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharane Vishesha Sunyavadi Paschatadeshtarane. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktarunda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So it's a very interesting section today. Just to give a background, so this pastime started where Indra, being puffed up with his opulences, did not give appropriate respect to his spiritual master, Brihaspati. So due to that, they became weak. And then seeing that opportunity, demons defeated the demigods. And demigods then took on the advice of the Lord Brahma, they performed yajna, having the priest as Vishwarupa. Of course, while Vishwarupa, while performing the yajna to make the demigods strong, he also offered oblations to the demons. So, and seeing that, Indra became very angry and afraid, and then he killed Vishwarupa. And due to that Brahmahatya or Brahmanatya, so Indra got a sinful reaction, and he suffered for an year, and then he distributed that sinful reaction to the 4 personalities: the land, water, trees, and women. And knowing that Vishwarupa was killed, his father Twasta, he became angry, and then he performed a great sacrifice to kill Indra. So he was hoping to get a personality from that yajna who can kill Indra. But since he chanted incorrectly, so instead of a personality who can kill Indra, so a personality appeared who will be killed by Indra. So that personality is Vritrasura. And we heard how fearful this Vritrasura and how strong and great personality. And even though when the demigods attacked him, Vritrasura was easily able to swallow all their weapons and everything. So understanding his strength, demigods became disappointed, and then they began to worship Supreme Lord Krishna. So that's what we heard in the last chapter. And then Krishna, Lord Vishnu advised him to approach the Dichi Muni and beg for his bones. So with that bones, they can make a weapon, and which can be used to kill Indra. So in this chapter, the last section, we heard how following the orders of the Supreme Lord, so the demigods begged the bones of the Dichi Muni. Of course, the Dichi Muni, in the beginning, he jokingly refused to give up his body, but later, for the higher purpose, he agreed to give it up. And today we will go through the slokas from 12 to 22, continuing that pastime. So in this, most of the slokas do not have the purport, so I'll probably spend most of the time on the first sloka, which has purport. So in the 12th sloka, we see that the Dichi Muni, he controlled his senses and life force, mind, and intelligence, then observed in the trance, and then cut all his material bonds. And due to that, what we see here is could not perceive how his material body became separated from his self. So this is a very inspiring, and it gives a great enthusiasm for us how we can leave the process. Here we see the process of leaving the body, so without any pain, because in the last section in one of the sloka, the Dichi Muni mentioned that at the time of death, there is a severe, unbearable pain that will one goes through that. So that's a general condition for any condition living entity in this material world. So while leaving the body, they will go through a lot of pain. So I heard that that pain is equivalent up to 10,000 of scorpions biting at a time. So which is unimaginable. Like, because I heard if one scorpion bites, so there will be great pain. So then we can understand how much pain one would go through. 10,000 scorpions biting at the same time. That much pain will be there for the condition living entity while leaving the body. So this body. So that's why it's very difficult to remember Krishna at the time of death, unless one is practiced this Krishna consciousness during his lifetime seriously and sincerely. So that's why we hear in Mukunda Mala Stotra, King Kulashekar praying that Prana Prayana Samaye Kapavata Pitta Kantavarodhana Vidau Smaranam Kutaste, like that. So he is praying that at the time of final breath, when my throat is choked up with cough, how will it be possible to think of you? So that's why he was praying to tie his mind to the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord and be locked like that. So of course, King Kulshekara, being a pure devotee, he would be able to remember Krishna even at the time of the final breath or leaving the body. But this is a general condition for a fallen soul like me. It's a stressing that one should practice rigorously. So during their lifetime, so that there is a chance to remember Krishna by the mercy of the Supreme Lord. So otherwise, we see here it is not possible, because due to heavy pain, and that pain is due to the strong attachment to one's own body or the wealth they acquired during their lifetime, or the attachment to the wife or kids, relatives, or the name and fame, all these things. What to speak of death? Even people are sometimes not comfortable to talk about death also. And some of them, when they were admitted in the hospital at the last minute, understanding that they leave the body, so they are very afraid. And many of them, they request the doctors to save them or extend their life for a few days or few years, like that. But of course, it is not possible, because if one is destined to leave the body, that they can't escape. So that's what we see Krishna mentioning in Bhagavad Gita also. Jatasya dhruva mrityur. So one who takes the birth is sure to die. So as soon as one is born, so this is something that comes free, death. And this is a very miserable condition. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, these things are very miserable. Janma mrityu jara vyadi dukkha dosha darshana. So all these, like birth, death, old age, disease, they are miserable, and we cannot escape. So no one can escape. So I heard one pastime, sometime back from a devotee, that one time Amaraj and Garuda, so they were going to Puri to take darshan of Lord Jagannath. And while going there, so Yamaraj, he glanced one of the bird which is in the temple, and then Garuda noticed that, and he thought that if Yamaraj glanced, means it's a time for that bird to leave the body or to die. So, and since the bird is in the same family lineage of the Garuda, the birds family, so he was a little bit compassionate, and he wanted to save that bird. So, and when Yamaraj went inside to the temple to take darshan of Lord Jagannath, so in that time, Garuda picked up that bird, and because Garuda is very powerful, so he took that bird thousands of miles away and placed that bird on a tree, hoping that it will be safe, and then came back. So, and then Yamaraj took darshan and came back, and he noticed that that bird is not there, and he was surprised. And then Garuda mentioned that to Yamaraj that while going, Yamaraj glanced at body. So he thought that if the bird will still stay there, then it will die. So that's why he placed thousands of miles away on a tree. And then Yamaraj mentioned that to Garuda that if the bird is destined to die thousands of miles away. So he was, while he entered into the temple, he glanced on that bird because he was surprised to see that bird there. Because how could that bird will fly thousands of miles away in a couple of minutes and then destined to die. So now he sees that Garuda became an instrument to move that bird from that place to thousands of miles away so that it can die. So the one who is destined, whatever the time that is allocated, they will leave the body. So no one can escape. So we see from the scriptures also, even many great personalities, they try to become immortal, like Hiranyakashipu or Ramanasura, through the great austerities, getting many boons. They thought that they will become immortal, but we see that they're all also left the body. So no one can escape the body. And another thing is when leaving the body, so nothing will come with us. So Krishna mentions in Bhagavad Gita that Mrutyu Sarva Haraschaham. So he will, everything will be taken away. So if one has spent all his time, energy, resources to acquire any material things like wealth, name, fame, anything, so they will be taken away. So that's why one who is not acquired with this knowledge or practiced spirituality, so they will be very unhappy and very afraid of being separated, whatever they have acquired from all what they have gained during the whole life. So, and sometimes it is mentioned that the people are very afraid where they pass stool and urine also while leaving the body, because it's very painful. Of course, the pain depends on how much one is attached to our own body or wealth, name, fame, or attachment to the family members, relatives, like that. And on top of that, Yamadutas are not very pleasant to look at. They are very horrible. So we see that in the pastime of Ajamila, like Ajamila, when he saw the Yamadutas, was very afraid. So that's why he called his younger son, Lord, whose name is Narayana. Of course, he remembered Narayana. So that's why Vishnudutas came and saved him from the clutches of Yamadutas. So this is the situation while leaving the body. Even Lord Kapil Dev, in the third canto also, he mentions that while leaving the body, so the glands congested with mucus and very difficult to breathing, and many relatives probably are nearby him and lamenting. He want to speak, but he cannot speak because he under the control of the time. So in that way, so he leaves the body with great pain. So that's if we are too much attached, so with our wealth or name, fame, or family members, everything. So one would go through the severe pain while leaving the body. Instead, if we can connect everything to Krishna consciousness, then as we see the Tichimani, how without pain he left the body, so one can leave the body. And another thing is the conditional living entity in this material world, who is attached to the bodily or indulged in sense gratification, they do not know where they are going after leaving the body. So that's why they are very afraid, because they don't know where they are going, how that place will be, and whether the situation would be more nicer than what they are now. Like that, they are very, because they don't know, they are very afraid. But a practicing devotee, a sadhaka, so he knows that he is going closer to Krishna, and he is confident that he will be placed in a better place than what he is currently. So that's why he doesn't feel pain, or he doesn't go through that much pain. And Krishna also mentions in Bhagavad Gita. So even if one practicing sadhaka, if he doesn't complete 100% in this life, it did not perfect the Krishna consciousness in this life, but he will be placed in the next life either in a rich family or a devotee family, so that he can continue his Krishna consciousness where he was left off. Krishna mentions in Bhagavad Gita that praptya punyakritam lokam usitva sasvata samaha suchinam srimati gehe yoga brashto abhijayate. The unsuccessful yogi, after many years of enjoyment on the planets of the pious living entities, then he will be born into a either a rich family or in a devotee family, so that he can continue. So the practicing devotee, he knows that he will be placed in a better place than what he is currently. So that's why he is not afraid of leaving the body. And then on top of that, he will be closer to the Krishna. Of course, Prabhupada stresses not to miss this great opportunity of going back home, back to Godhead. So that's why he stresses everyone to practice in this one lifetime sincerely and seriously. Of course, I'm talking to myself, so that they don't need to take birth again in this material world and go through the miserable life of repeated birth, death, old age, diseases like that. So, and that's what we see here, the Muni, so he was able to detached from all material things and being attached to Krishna, because he observed in trance and focused on the lotus feet of Krishna. So he could easily leave the body without knowing also. So there is no pain also. And we see this in the many great personalities like Dhruva Maharaj, like that. Dhruva Maharaj, he practiced Krishna consciousness with great sincerity during his lifetime. And at the time of leaving this material world, the Vaikuntha plane came. And when he's boarding in that plane, he saw the death personification. But Dhruva Maharaj did not afraid seeing the death personification. On top of that, he stepped his feet on the head of the death personification and boarded into the Vaikuntha plane. So that is the success of the human life. Of course, Prabhupada also gives an example or analogy of a devotee leaving the body or non-devotee leaving the body. So the analogy Prabhupada gives, like, a cat carries kitten, and at the same time, cat also carries the rat. So externally, it may look like same, because either kitten or cat in the mouth of cat, but internally, if you see it, it is a great difference. There is a lot of difference. So when cat catches rat, then rat is very afraid, because it knows that it is it's for his death. But when cat keeps kitten in his mouth, the kitten enjoys it. So there's a great difference. So that's the analogy for the devotee leaving the body or non-devotee leaving the body. So non-devotee is very afraid and they go through a lot of pain. But a devotee, so he doesn't go through that pain, because understanding that he is closer to Krishna, going to closer to Krishna, and he is going to be in a better situation. So that's why Bhagavatam mentions that it's everyone's duty to perform this Krishna consciousness and make their human life successful. And Prabhupada in the purport, so he mentions that if we perform this Krishna consciousness sincerely and seriously, then we will be able to remember Krishna. Antekale chamanam eva smaranam muktva kalevaram. So while leaving the body, then we can be able to remember Krishna, and then we can go back home, back to Godhead. Of course, to come to this stage, so one should practice during the or from the time where they connected to Krishna consciousness. Then we can, through the process, we can able to purify the senses, as they mentioned here, aksha, or the mind, mana, or intelligence, buddhi. So as the Muni was able to do it, and then we can be able to observe, as the Muni was able to observe at the lotus feet of Krishna, and then we can go back home, back to Godhead. And that's what Prabhupada mentioned, that it is the highest yoga, which is mentioned in Bhagavad Gita also. Yoginam api sarvesham. So this is the highest path of the yogas. So that's why Prabhupada stresses to take up this Bhakti Yoga, chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra sincerely, and then so we not only escape from the pain of the death, but also we escape the repeated other miserable conditions like birth, old age, diseases, everything like that. So, and in the next sloka, we see that King Indra, so he formally took up the thunderbolt, so manufactured by Vishwakarma. So with the bones of the Dadichi Muni, the demigod's architect, Vishwakarma, so he prepared the thunderbolt. So basically King Indra's Vajrayuda is basically manufactured by the bones of the Dadichi Muni through the Vishwakarma. And then he charged with the exalted power of the Dadichi Muni and enlightened by the Supreme Lord. So he rode on the back of his carrier Airavata and surrounded by all the demigods. And then we see that he's looking very beautiful and pleasing the three worlds as he rode off to kill Vritrasura. So, and where we see that this Vajrayuda is charged with the exalted power of the Dadichi Muni, because this used the Vajrayuda is manufactured with the Dadichi Muni's bones, and not only that, enlightened by the power of the Supreme Lord. So that's why this Vajrayuda represents the authority and then strength and the divine power. So it's very powerful and strong. Of course, we hear Indra using this Vajrayudam in the scriptures several places. And of course, one of the places is Indra used this Vajrayuda on Hanumanji also, when he was a small baby and trying to eat sun, thinking that it is a fruit, like that. Of course, here in this pastime, Indra is going to use this Vajrayudam to kill Vritrasura. And then in the 15th sloka, we see that so Indra angrily and with great force attacked Vritrasura, who was surrounded by the leaders of the demonic armies. Of course, the Vritrasura also has many followers, demonic followers, demonic personalities who are surrounded by or engaged in this fighting on the side of Vritrasura. And Indra attacked all of them with great force. And then in the text 16, we see that this happened at the end of Satyuga and the beginning of the Treta Yuga. So this battle took place between the demigods and demons on the bank of Narmada River. Of course, Prabhupada clears that this Narmada River is not the Narmada River that we see in India. So in India, we have many holy rivers like Ganga, Yamuna, Godavari, Narmada, Sindhu, Kaveri, Saraswati, Krishna, like that. But this Narmada River is not the Narmada River that we have in India. So this Narmada River is in the river on the higher planet system, because this battle took place in the higher planet systems. And we see some other rivers also flows are available in the higher planet systems also, like Ganga, Mother Ganga. It flows through the whole universe. So it is available in the higher planet system, in the middle planet system, and the lower planet systems also. So similarly, this Narmada River also flows in the upper planet system. And the other point Prabhupada mentions that this happens at the end of the Satyuga and the beginning of Treta Yuga. And there is a Sanskrit word used, Pratame Yuge. So in the beginning of the first millennium. So Prabhupada mentions that, which means that this is the beginning of the Vaivasvata Manvantara. We hear that, in one day of Brahma, we have 4 Manus, and each one represents for 71 Mahayugas. Of course, each Mahayuga has Satyuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, and Kali Yuga, 4 yugas. and we are presently in the Vaivasvatamanu Manvantara, because that is also mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says that Vivaswan Manave Prahala, like that. So Vaivasvata Manvantara, and we are now in the 28th millennium of Vaivasvata Manvantara. And but this fight took place in the first millennium of the Vaivasvata Manu. So which means that this fight took place almost 120,400,000 years back. That's what Prabhupada mentions. So it's a very long back this fight took place. So that's why in Bhagavatam we see that there are many pastimes that are not in the happened in this Mahayuga or in this Manvantara time. Sometimes there are pastimes that happen in the different Manus also. So in the next sloka, we see that King Indra, here is mentioning, Parikshit Sukadeva was mentioning that when all the Asuras came onto the battlefield led by Vrittasura, they saw King Indra carrying thunderbolt and surrounded by these great personalities like Rudras, Vasus, Adityas, Aswini Kumaras, Pittas, Vahnis, Maruts, and Rubhush, Sadhyas, and Viswadevas. And due to that, King Indra is seen that very brightly, and his effluence was intolerable to the demons. And we see that in the slokas 19 to 22, the last section of the today's Bhagavatam. So there are many hundreds and thousands of demons. Even on the demon side also, there are many demons and demi-demons, yakshas, rakshas, and other personalities. And here we see that their names also, Sumali, Mali. They resisted the armies of King Indra. So this battle took place in the higher planet systems in the first millennium of Vaivasvata Manu, and we see that the great personalities, Sumali and Mali, on the side of the demons, they resisted the armies of King Indra, and which even death personality cannot easily overcome. So even the demons are not very weak; they are also great personalities, very strong. And some of the demons are mentioned here, like Namuchi, Sambara, Anavara, and Rimurta, Rushabha, like that. So there are many powerful demons also in this fight, along with King Vritarasura attacking the demigods headed by Indra. So we see that roaring tumultuously and fearlessly like lions, these invincible demons, all dressed in golden ornaments, gave pain to the demigods with weapons like clubs, bludgeons and arrows and barbed darts, mallets and lances. So we see different weapons that are used in fighting the demons fighting with King Indra. So I'll pause it here. So in the next section, we continue this great fight between the demigods and demons. Thank you all for giving this opportunity. Grandhara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vranda ki jai. Thank you all. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Hare
Thank you so much,
Krishna,
Krishna Prabhuji. Oh, sorry. Somebody had a question? No, continue. Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.